Picture this. You're working in the office. It's peaceful, except for the tapping away of the keyboard. You finally feel in the zone and really ready to focus and sink into your work when suddenly you hear a loud snap, like a gunshot had gone off, or a loud firecracker has exploded. You instantly shoot up from your seat and you swivel your head like a meerkat and you wonder, what the bleep just happened? And in the corner of your eye, you see Karen in her cubicle, snapping her gum. Snap, shoo, snap, shoo, snap. No! The noise is driving you insane! Show of hands, how many of you have a Karen in the office? What about a Sarah who takes credit for your work? What about Angela who won't stop yakking away at your cubicle? Or better yet, how about that high-pitched, bubbly-sounding, chatty Kathy who sounds so irritatingly happy that all you want to scream is, life is a terrible hellhole and no one wants to be here. We've all been there. We all know what it's like to have a coworker we hate but have to work with. Most people will tell you to live with it or suck it up, but I would tell you differently. I'd tell you there's a way to exist with these monsters. Why should you listen to me? Well, I'd like to think of myself as a kind of expert in dealing with this. Because from middle school all the way through high school to my current job, I have had at least one of these in my life. In fact, the overly awake, bright, positive, happy voice of my grade 7 classmate Cynthia at our 6 a.m. jazz choir rehearsal still haunts me. To this day. A study done by a British company named Regus reports that over 49% of people employed in a larger company admit to not liking their coworkers. So today, I'm going to tell you 3 ways to peacefully coexist with your coworker that you hate. The key here is not to like or love them. It's simply to learn to coexist with someone you hate. Point 1. Your coworker and you are a relationship that you never signed up for. This wasn't a mutually agreed on courtship. In fact, it's more like an arranged marriage. So with that in mind, we can approach this relationship with a, it's not you, it's me attitude. Ask yourself, try to pinpoint what it is about them that bother you. Are they just different than you? Do you wish you were as eloquent as them? Do they remind you of an ex-partner? What exactly is it that you don't like about them? When you start asking yourself these questions, you may find some very interesting results. Carl Jung, a famous Swiss psychiatrist, introduces the idea of a shadow self in all his books. Much like Beyonce's alter ego, Sasha Fierce, the shadow self is your alter ego. It runs on instinct and it's often irrational. It's prone to emotional projection, where a personal weakness is perceived as a morally detrimental deficiency in someone else. Or in simple English, if you think you have poor listening skills, you're not going to like the guy who you think have poor listening skills. Because this is a reflection of things that you don't like about yourself. Identifying whether it is a behavior, trait, or something else is the first step to figuring out how to make changes to your thoughts or perhaps personality so that you can peacefully coexist with them. My next point borrows the overused cliche of fake it till you make it. I don't know about you, but when I don't like something, I focus on it. Focus. I remember the time when I worked with Charlie to respond to IT help tickets. We had spent 2 hours planning on how to categorize and label things so we knew what was happening and who was doing what and what was going on, whether the ticket is closed or not, and really after all that, he ended up ignoring everything that we agreed on. I reminded him nicely of our plan over and over again until I had enough. I started spiraling out of control. Eventually, I ended up acting like a 6-year-old, running to my manager and tattling, Mommy, Charlie won't do as I say and I need you to make him listen to me. Without realizing, I had let one little thing magnify to a point where it was the only thing I saw. So in situations like this, you need to fake it till you make it. Be like an actor or a student giving an oral presentation and pretending things are okay and that you're really confident until it becomes your new reality and belief. To do this, we can use the power of positive thinking to reorient and magnify all those good things about Charlie. Positive mental attitude was first introduced in a book written in 1937 by Napoleon Hill. A recent definition by WebMD is that positive thinking is an optimistic attitude or a practice of focusing on the good in any given situation. The keyword is practice. Positive thinking is not something that happens overnight. You don't wake up magically and suddenly the world is full of sunshine and daisies. This is a mental state in which you have to practice being in. Create a list of all the great things about Charlie and focus on those. Redirect yourself every time you start thinking about how much you hate him. Perhaps you appreciate that he works hard, or maybe you like that he brings you coffee. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you don't have to like or love him. You just have to peacefully coexist. The third and final point I leave you with today is what I'd like to call the art of emotional detachment, or the don't care attitude. Oftentimes we get frustrated and annoyed with a coworker because they prevent us from being our version of an ideal worker. We want to be productive and efficient, but it's hard when there's people and noises distracting you. Resentment starts to build inside you. Oh, why is Katie's chewing so loud? Oh, why can't Chris mute his speaker so we don't hear his constant pinging of messages? Why is Sonia making such a ruckus and distracting me? These thoughts start to swirl in your head. You start to associate the person as being annoying rather than you disliking the actual behavior itself. And before you know it, you get snippy when one of them come up to ask you a question or chat. The key is to adopt a don't care attitude and emotionally detach. I'm not saying you should just march up to your boss and go, screw you, and stop caring about your job. I'm simply saying ignore the things that irritate you about other people. If you can ignore those actions, it cancels your focus on them. Daniel Goleman, a director at Rutgers University, says, some people are there, whether you like it or not. If some people is being a pain, but you don't feel the pain, there is no problem. So the next time you're in a situation where you have little to no control over, try the art of emotional detachment. Adopt a don't care attitude. To wrap things up, I've told you 3 ways to peacefully coexist with your coworker. 1 is it isn't you, it's me. 2 is fake it till you make it. And 3rd is the art of emotional detachment. So I challenge you, the next time you see Barbara doing that irritating thing that you've always hated, use her as a guinea pig. Take a deep breath and try one of these 3 things.